Hey guys, Thomas is Genie here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review the movie The Assent. Now, before I begin my review, if you end up liking it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. The second will head you over to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed. The first thing I plan to fix is this damn lighting issue, so please, if you like what you hear, then consider joining my Patreon. Alrighty then, let's talk about The Assent. So, this is a possession movie. I'm gonna say that right out of the gate. If the poster didn't give it away already, it's an upside down cross with a face with a whole bunch of stuff in it, by the way, if that's not clear enough. I feel like I have covered a lot of possession movies in my time. This is my first rodeo with the possession movies, and I find it very fascinating that my possession movie reviews tend to be the highest viewed ones consistently. I hope that is the case for this one, fingers crossed. Um, but yeah, let's start with this movie. Anyway, the movie starts off with some narration from the priest who talks about the 3 steps it takes to know that someone is possessed. And when I first heard it, I missed the first step and I caught on to the second and third. The second being affliction, and the third being, well, the ascent, which is what the movie is called. Uh, So, anyways, we cut to our main character, a man who's working his job at a car repair place, and he hears some voices in his head, so he decides to take some pills. A woman comes up behind him named Rhonda, and she's like complaining, and he like heads out or whatever. So he returns to his son. Our lead, by the way, is Joel. And he has a babysitter named Cassie, and the kid is named Nathan. So, anyways, they're talking about the two of them while when Casey like heads out about his future, and they also talk about how his wife is gone. So, oh shoot, did I say his name is Joel? I meant to say his name is Clark. Shit. Sorry, Clark, not Joel. Clark gets some visions of some stuff going on. He hears some noises upstairs, and he sees all the toys are messed up, and heads out to see like this messed up cat. So, anyways, we cut to a priest who's in prison, and he's picked up by a younger priest. The reason why he's in prison is because he failed an exorcism on a younger kid, and that caused the press to, do their thing, etc., etc. And the priest is talking about how he's seeing movements through the demon and that it's moving to its next target. Meanwhile, why did in my notes I keep calling him Joel, either Joel or Clark. I think his name is like Joel Clark, and I think that's why I kept mixing it up. I do apologize for that. So he sits in with his doctor, his psychologist. And we have a quick cut as he hears his son Mason hears his son's voice, calls him over. The son claims that he saw a goat man acting as a dog or something like that. So he makes a call. Joel, or Carl, or Joe Clark, makes a call to the psychologist about what's going on. So, anyways, the babysitter is heading out again. But this time, both him and his son rage out on her, and she goes a little bit wary of that. And the priest, he notices that the cat that he fed the first night is gone. So he looks for a new job, as the one he has now isn't providing enough. I know how that feels. I can't even find my own job while trying to do this whole YouTube thing where I live. So I know the pressure of finding a job. Again, Patreon, please, guys. I'm desperate here. Anyway, the priest heads over to get some clues at this point, or to go to the other priest's home to get some clues of where this demon's gonna show up. We cut back to one of the rooms getting messed up. So Clark checks in with the doctor, with his psychologist, and she gives him one more week until she will take the son away. So he finds some incriminating papers in his son's room about stuff he was looking into, and he becomes a little bit wary of that. Meanwhile, the babysitter checks in with the young priest. Oh, I assume that this must be a small town if that's the case, but whatever. Then we have what I can only describe as the oddest thing in the movie. The sky has a face, as in the sky up above us has a face. We see clouds and we see a face in it very briefly. And we also see through Clark's visions that he's seeing a woman and a bag-face woman or something of that nature. So he's taking pictures as that he feels that that is his way of casting the light between reality and not reality. Meanwhile, the priest moves in, and he can see his own interpretation of the demon too. So now he's getting a little bit of a vibe of where it is. So they start to head over to the house. Meanwhile, the son, Mason, is in a trance, and Clark hears a knock at the door, so he heads down and he meets with one of this doctor woman, Dr. Hawkins or whatever. So she heads up. She hears all the voices. The kid speaks in a different language. Attempts to attack his dad. By the way, at this point, I should point out that the priest and the younger priest are already at his home. They were the ones that arrived there first. They were the one who called in the doctor. I should have pointed that out. Very poor reviewing points on me. But anyway, so the four of them head up, and that's when they hear, all of them hear him in a different language, him attacking the dad. And the priest tells Clark that his son must be restrained so that they can proceed with their exorcism. So the demon is trying to use the son's voice to get to Clark. And the younger priest returns with the equipment proper so they can start. So the two of them head up, the priest and the younger priest, and they begin, while the father watches on from the closed door. So while that's going on, he picks up the camera and he starts to take pictures of where he thinks the demons still are within the house. And shortly after, he sees the younger priest being running out as he's been spat upon. And as they take a break, Clark sees the psychiatrist has returned. So we see her, while the others are away, she heads up into the two rooms. She heads into one of the rooms. When the room is cleared, she heads into the room with the kid. And we never see her again, or we don't see her as the other three move in, which is very odd. The psychiatrist's name is Maya, by the way, and Clark is talking with her after the fact in the separate room. So she hooks him in, and it turns out that she is working with the devil. So he wakes up in what I can only describe as a different dimension of his house, I guess. He's trying to check in on his son. He doesn't see him anywhere. Instead, he sees a man, and he's hooked further into the darkness. So Maya comes into his headspace, and we see one of her eyes are white, indicating that she is among the devil, and mocks him for his simplistic nature in falling for this trap. And saying how he let her in, and that was all she needed. Mason they talk about the 3 stages again, which is the only reason why I remembered reheard the first stage, which is called the Presence. Anyways, after the re-narration of what the priest said happens again, we cut to 10 years passing, which is unorthodox for a movie to end with a time skip. That is not something I am used to seeing anyway. Often anyway, I should say. It's not the first time, but it's definitely an odd thing to do. Only to see that Mason is now all grown up. He's looking at his family photo, and this new woman, who I'm assuming is his psychiatrist, leaving, and then we see a demon, and that's the Assent, the whole movie. And I do have quite a few issues with this. And it's interesting, because I think it could have worked. But one of the things is clearly they were trying to set something up a little bit different here from what I normally see of exorcism movies. It's definitely got that one element that I've never seen before, and that is the case of this main character who suspects or eventually learns that his kid is possessed, even though he's been seeing possession stuff beforehand. And we as the audience also see that there are signs coming from the kid. We see as the audience him speaking in a different language, the kid, only to find out that it is actually just the main character who is possessed, and the one going through the exorcism, which makes the whole bit about it being the son really, really odd. And they try to throw in hints that it's the first scenario, that it is the main character. I find the kids speaking a different language when all of these characters are in the room together probably the most off-putting scene, if you're going to have it be the switch of like, oh, it's actually just the character who saw the possession stuff first. Again, the kid speaking in a different language kind of throws everything off. It kind of makes it seem like they were trying to have it both ways. When the father freaks out on the woman, the babysitter, the son freaks out after the fact. There are other, the smaller things. Him seeing the demons as well. there are quite a few elements, and again, the most damning I feel is again the kid speaking a different language with so many people there. If it had just been the priest and the father, I would have been like, okay, I can kind of see where they're going. I can kind of see that flip working a lot better, because the priest was the one who said something to the effect of it was just him, the main character. However, again, with all four characters being present in the room, I feel like that kind of gets thrown out the window. It kind of just makes the whole thing fall apart about it being the father instead, because they're trying to have it both ways and they're presenting it in a way that doesn't make any logical sense. And I know I'm saying that about a movie about possession, but there is a very clear rule or rules about possession. The rules are very clearly established, at least in this interpretation, at the very beginning, in fact. More so about what the possession entails specifically. But again, it does feel like throughout the movie the kid is also experiencing everything the father is, which, again, if you're going to do the flip doesn't make any sense if you have the kid experience all the things that the father is experiencing and then do the flip with the added notion of all the characters being in that room when the kid speaking the second language or unknown language happens. So yeah, it just doesn't add up. There's an element that is either missing, or they tried to add in an element that doesn't make any sense to what is trying to be established here. And when you break whatever is established, you kind of just throw everything else out the window. And as far as possession movies go, it doesn't do anything fancy with the possessions other than trying to do this flip, which, again, the flip itself doesn't make any sense. But in terms of, actual, what the demonic possession person does, they don't do anything crazy with it, We've seen the head turns, we've seen the floating beds, we've seen them go on the ceilings, we've seen all the craziness, and it doesn't feel like even that's lived up to its fullest extent. So yeah, definitely missed the mark on that one. I will say some of the acting is alright for what was, what the worth of that is. So I'll give this movie a little bit of its credit, a little bit of its due there. Give it a 3 or 4 out of 10 along that range. But still, it misses the mark indefinitely. So that's my review of The Assent. And if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server. The other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated or desperately needed. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.